Hey, everybody, welcome back to So Rare First Pitch. I'm Alex Hooper. Going to take a look forward in So Rare MLB, something I've been teasing for a long time, and it's finally here. We finally figured it out, and I say we because I have to thank someone for all of the help and all of the effort they put into figuring this out. And we'll talk about that later because it's going to be a key in our next giveaway. So before we get into VORP, value over replacement player, something I've been talking about for a really long time. I really wanted to figure out in terms of relievers who are actually starters and how much value you're actually getting out of that. And we're also going to look at a couple of players at different positions and consider how you can use VORP to help you going forward. But like I said, before we do so, we are going to give away a card. It's actually much brighter in here than it looks. I'm wearing black and my face is very shadowed, but it's actually really nice and bright here in sunny Florida. All right. So to win the Rowan Wick card, you had to follow So Rare First Pitch. That's at So Rare FP on Twitter. You had to retweet the tweet, and that's how you entered. Let's see, who is it going to be? Bartholomew. Okay. Hey, buddy. He entered to win the last one, and he actually offered to help with this problem that I've been working on with VORP, and sure enough, he wins the Rowan Wick card. So, uh, congrats, buddy. 168 entries, and you were the one who was picked. So congrats to Bartholomew. You're gonna win the Rowan Wick limited card. And stay tuned, everybody who didn't win, to see how you can win our next giveaway. That'll be given away. We've been doing giveaways on Friday, so next Friday you can win this upcoming card. All right. I got some rewards to look at, so let's tab on over here. Um, you know, in the running for a lot of these, some nice cards, but I think they're all tier 4s. So that's fine. We get a tier 3 limited. Let's start with our tier 3 common. Been really building up the common gallery. Kyle Farmer, all right. Middle infielder and corner infielder. Gonna add him to my gallery really quick. Infielder, middle infielder. You can't see this because I'm not sharing that screen, I don't believe. But anyway, all right, back to it. Let's take a look at our tier 3 rare really quick. This was our best finish of the week. Astro stack plus Jose Ramirez. Not a great start. Pablo? Hey, that's actually fantastic. That's a really good pull. Why is he a tier 3? We'll take a look at him for some hold or sell, but I think I know the answer. All right, so we got 79th in rare, in that, or limited pro rather, and then 55th in rare pro, both tier 4s. I don't know which is actually higher out of the total number of entries, so let's just open the limited pro. What do we got? Tier 4, Twins, wonderful. Starting pitcher, ooh, they got some good starters. Dylan Bundy, okay, okay, I don't hate that. Fantastic. Dylan Bundy, we're gonna make him red in the spreadsheet. He might actually factor in for us at some point. Okay. Our other tier 4, Dylan Bunny, I'm actually very okay with that. Who's our other tier 4? Cool. That's great. He's been horrendous this year, but he actually projects well for next year. That might change. God, he's been abysmal, but actually someone I've had my eye on. Okay, cool. For how poor I felt my tiers were, I'm very happy with all of those rewards. That's pretty nice. Okay. Now to what we've all been waiting for. Let's talk about value over replacement player. And once again, I've brought you just an incredible just this incredible template on Microsoft PowerPoint. Look at it. Drink it in. Never see anything like this ever again. That's the only time you're going to see it. Like literally, you're not going to see it for the rest of the PowerPoint. All right, so let's talk about value over replacement player. So basically what we're doing is making a calculation just like wins above replacement. It's just a value calculation. So it's great when you're trying to determine A, what you should pay somebody, what they're worth on the free agent market. We're talking, in a real life scenario, and B, like voting for MVP. Like a shortstop who has a slightly worse season at the plate than a first baseman is going to come out as more valuable because there are fewer shortstops who produce that type of offense. And with what they give you defensively relative to a first baseman, it's a big difference. So obviously defense does not factor in. It does factor in WAR, but defense doesn't factor in for us in Sorare because there are no defensive attributes. There are no defensive points given. So this is all based on Sorare points. And we're going to use the 80th percentile as a replacement player. That's normally, I shouldn't say normally, some WAR calculations use about the 80th percentile as your replacement player. Don't ask me why I didn't dig into it that far. It just felt like a nice number to use. And also, I probably could have gone higher because think about who you see at the top of the leaderboards each week in Sorare. It's a lot of the elite guys, and it probably could be somewhere near the 90th percentile because that's generally what the replacement level is going to be. People are not going to run out, a bunch of tier 5s every single week. At least most of the user base will not at this point. As it grows, that could change. But so the calculation basically is going to be the projected points using both the rest of season 2022 and the 2023 projection for Zips. Shout out to Dan Zimborski. One of the best. I usually use the Bat X. I wanted to change things up and use a consistent scoring system or a projection system, which I still think Zips 2023 needs an update. I don't know that, but it's a 3-year projection, so it's generally pretty stable. I don't know what might actually change. Anyway, that's VORP. So projected points divided by the 80th percentile. So this metric here you're seeing in the middle, 2023 on the left, 2022 on the right, and actually reverse. So 2023, the chart is on the right, 2022 chart is on the left, the reversed here. That's just the way I entered them into Excel. I got ahead of myself. So the number that you're seeing is basically 1 is replacement level. A number of 1 is replacement level. That would be the standard number of points divided by the 80th percentile. So the 80th percentile point scoring divided by the 80th percentile, that's how you get 1. So the 5.9 is essentially like a weighted runs created plus for a hitter, where 100 is league average and Garrett Cole's 59 means he's 59%, 159% of the 80th percentile. So 59% better than the average player. So if you see on the left here, just a pretty steady decline from one to the next. Again, this is the rest of the season. This is like 2 starts, 3 starts. But you see kind of where people bunch up. Garrett Cole and Walker Buehler is not going to pitch. Zips it projects people regardless of whether or not they're going to play. It's just like everybody has a clean slate. So keep that in mind with Zips. It does project games. Like Mike Trout projects for 99 games next year because he misses so many games due to injury, and he's got that back thing. Not that that's factored in, but his injury history is factored in. So generally, you'll get the amount of games they project for over time. I imagine Jacob deGrom is kind of the same thing. Yeah, see, he's not in either of these because he probably projects to miss a ton of time. So keep that in mind as well. But the point being here is you want to see how closely bunched a lot of these people are. So if you look, Garrett Cole and Walker Buehler separate themselves pretty greatly. Lucas Giolito, who's been having a horrible stretch recently, still separates himself. He's a fine player. Sandy Alcantara, Corbin Burns, Aaron Nola. And you see kind of the same folks here for next season. But look at the way that Cole separates from the rest. And then you got a little bunch here. So all these guys are basically worth about the same over the course of the season. Same with Burns and Wheeler, and then a little bit of drop off, and then a lot of just marginal differences. So like basically you could pay, I see a Max Scherzer in here for 1.35. His age is going to factor into his projection. And then you see Jason Alexander down here at 0.35. But basically Scherzer is going to be worth, 9% more than a Shane Bieber. And you can use this number to decide how much you actually want to pay for someone. Like if Shane Bieber is going for 0.0, let's go 0.1 Ethereum is rare, then you should cap your Max Scherzer spend at 0.109. That's 9% better. That's kind of what this tells you. But so there's your starting pitchers. Not a lot of separation, but you're gonna get a lot of separation with Garrett Cole, and then these four, and then it kind of everyone starts to bunch together. So this is what you should be looking at. Trevor Rogers replacement level for the rest of this year. That was kind of the cutoff here. So let's move on. We're gonna skip relief pitcher because there's a point to be made here, and it's a much different position within the game than these other positions. So corner, infield. Freddie Freeman, Vlad Guerrero, Aaron Judge because of his DH eligibility, which I think is so silly. I don't think it should be a thing in this game. I think DHs should only be able to be flexes, but he plays outfield as well. Jordan Alvarez, same thing. Olson, Otani, Devers. Then you get, I think I see a Machado, Goldschmidt, Bryce Harper. Those are all in there. Nolan Arenado down here a little bit. For next season, Vlad Guerrero projects to separate himself from the pack. He's going to be in his age 24 season, so generally you project a big step forward, and that's what you see with Vlad. We'll see how that changes when Zips is updated. But again, this is all relative to your position. And the biggest thing with corner infielders is you'll see probably the biggest bunch in the middle, and few people start to separate themselves. Because corner infielders are guys that you're like, okay, hey, this person doesn't play defense. We're going to stick him at a corner. First base especially. Which is funny to say because Rafael Devers is at third and Matt Olson's actually a really good defensive first baseman, but that doesn't factor in. You see some DHs here. Freddie Freeman projects to drop off as he ages. Some of these other guys, Jonathan India, I believe is here because he might have DH eligibility, at least based on what we should see next year. I don't know. I'd have to check, but he did show up. But Vlad Guerrero projects to be 75% better than everyone else at this position. So you could tack on an extra 17% to Rafael Devers' price, and that's probably what you should play or pay for Vlad Guerrero. Or you look at the price of these guys here at 1, which Jared Walsh, Brandon Lau, Jonathan India are all very underpriced. So you can kind of calculate it that way. But you see the separation. This is what you're paying for. And we've talked a little bit about like Aaron Judge. He can run away with a game week, so he's worth paying up for. Funny that he doesn't show up in here at all because he is eligible at corner infield. I think that injury last year affected his Zips projection going forward. I expect to see him back up here when it is updated. But so yeah, Guerrero really separates himself, then Devers, and then kind of these other guys, and it starts to bunch together. And once it starts to bunch together, if you're paying a ton for any of these guys, you could replace them with just about anyone else. If you have, say you do have a Bo Bichette, then you want Vlad. If you have, say, a Xander Bogaerts, then you want Devers. Trying to think of someone who's probably in here. So Bregman's down here at 1.2. So you start to see him separated here. If you have Altuve or if you have Jordan, it makes it a little more worth paying up, even though he's only 20% better than the rest. But if you don't have those guys, you could pay for any of those guys in there as just a single no correlation with anyone else, and get the same amount of value. Okay, moving on, middle infield this season. Surprisingly, not a lot of separation in here. This is the rest of the season. Trey Turner, pretty far ahead, and he has playoff utility, which is not factored into this. But Semien and Bichette, Corey Seager right there, Edmund, Bogarts, and then just a bunch. Just everyone bunches up. So not a lot of separation, but a pretty solid climb. Like you're still getting a decent amount of value as you climb this ladder relative to everybody else. So that's important to note. If you just look at the curve, let's look at the middle infield curve relative to the corner infield. I don't know that you see a ton different as I kind of wax back and forth. Sorry if this makes you dizzy, but the curve looks a little sharper here. It might be because of the size of the photo. I don't know. So taking a look at next season, Bo Bichette really separates himself. So right now, a Toronto Blue Jays stack for 2023 looks great based on the projections. Bichette runs away at middle infield. Guerrero really runs away at corner infield. This is what you're paying up for. This is where you should pay up, is these people who really separate themselves from the pack. Pretty much anyone where you see daylight, these are the guys you want to pay up for. And I've highlighted them mostly in all of these. I pulled them out, and then once it starts to bunch, I stop, which you see again here. Bichette way up here. Ozzy Albies, if he comes back and is healthy. Another guy, Trey Turner, right there. Semien, Polanco, Bogarts, India, Seager, and Story. And then you get a bunch right there. But look at how much daylight there is between Bichette and Brandon Lau. If you look between Bichette and Brandon Lau, 186 and 145. So that's 0.41. Like you're looking at replacement levels. So that's like here. That's the difference just between Bichette and, what place is Lau. Yeah, so this many places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bichette is 10 higher than this. And then when you look at Lau relative to that difference, 0.41, so 0.04, it's going to be right here. Look at how many places. Look at how many people are in there. Once they're bunching together, it starts to get close to replacement level, and it's just not worth paying up. If you're paying up for, I see Gleyber Torres in here, like, just don't do it. Just buy someone else who's cheaper in here. That's why I'm always highlighting value when I look at prices. And you can divide this by price too and figure out who gives you the most value relative to their price. Or you can just sort it by VORP and look for the people who really separate themselves. So again, I just want to make this point. The difference between Bichette and Lau, there's a couple of people you could buy. And maybe one of these guys, I know Polanco is generally very, very undervalued. Not sure if he can play corner infield. I think he's been playing third, so he might not be qualified for middle infield going forward. I'm not sure, but he's generally a guy who comes in very undervalued. So don't pay for one of these guys, pay for Jorge Polanco just because you're getting more value. There's just a glut of all of these folks in here, and it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't, but you'll see hype raise the price on a lot of these guys. Okay, outfield. This year, Judge still projects to outscore Soto and Betts by a little bit. You got your Astros here. Cedric Mullins actually separates himself quite a bit. Then you start to bunch together, and then everyone comes together right around the Cody Bellinger range. Looking at next season, holy cow, Juan Soto. Look at the difference. The difference between Juan Soto and Mookie Betts is 0.53. So that's basically the difference between Betts and here. Look at all of these guys. Soto is this much more valuable. Can I mark it up? Can we draw? Soto is projected to be that much more value, more than double the replacement player. Juan Soto over the course of the season should account based on ZiPS for 2 times all of these guys, or at least these guys right here. 2 times. You're going to get 2 times the points. So realistically, you could pay 2 times whatever these losers are. Losers are the 80th percentile. Again, we're using the 80th percentile. All right, how do I get off these this marker? Give me my pointer back. All right, I don't know. We're gonna have to use this now. But so you see that, like, look at that projection. That's wild. So here is why we did this. Here is why I really wanted to look into this. On the left, you have cumulative VORP. So over the course of the season, Edwin Diaz, Spencer Strider, pretty agreed upon as the two best relievers. Clase, Romano, Jensen, Hendricks, and then probably Devin Williams. Taylor Rogers actually stands out, but these are the only guys who are actually good values, but they're worth double the 80th percentile of the normal reliever. And that's not surprising because closers and setup men, one, are going to strike out more people. That's how they get into that role anyway. And two, they're going to get the opportunity to get save and hold points, which is just going to put you over and above. But this is cumulative. So Spencer Strider has, over the course of the season, given you about the same amount as Edwin Diaz has earned you on the mound, which you might look at and be like, wow, that's surprising because I see Strider put up a 60. He's been in different roles. I don't think he's been up all season. He might have been, but cumulative, I'd expect Strider to go above. So what I tried to find a real value. Again, this is just scoring over the 80th percentile. We know Diaz scores more than the rest. We know Strider scores more than the rest, but the premium on their prices is wild, especially Strider. This is why. This is how much value over replace. So the 80th percentile, whatever the average innings pitched per game for a reliever is, which is going to be slightly higher than 1 because it's going to be offset by guys like Strider who pitch multiple innings. And guess what? That's who you see here. So this is how much value they're earning based on how many innings they pitch per game. As you see, this is how much they can earn in one outing. And Spencer Strider is going to throw one outing in a game week if he starts, obviously. Whereas guys like Edwin Diaz will not. So this calculation is based on, say I get one appearance out of any of my relievers. How much can I actually earn? If you see here, these are guys who start. All of these guys you could buy as relief pitchers right now and have a chance in the future that they start because they have started before. Maybe they do going forward, maybe they don't. Trevor Williams, Drew Hutchison, also those same guys. So what I noticed is when I did this, I'm like, okay, obviously this is going to give an advantage to the guys who pitch more innings because then you're just stacking the amount of value they can earn. We already know that technically they can earn more. But I mean, look at the difference. Say Edwin Diaz pitches one inning, because that's what he's going to pitch in one appearance, and Spencer Strider pitches his full game. You're going to get about 5 times the value out of Strider, which is why I've been pushing these guys. So what does a brilliant week out of a reliever look like, though? Because Edwin Diaz could realistically save 3 games in a game week. So what I entered, and cross this out because that's messed up in my algo. So this is VORP per game week. Basically, it's an if or statement in Excel that says if someone has started more than 7 games, just give me that VORP that I just calculated, the per innings per game. If they have not started 7 games, let's just say they pitch 3 times. So if Edwin Diaz and Ryan Helsley pitch 3 times in a week, you're going to get 7 times the value out of the replacement player, which is great. And the guys who actually save games are probably all in here. I see Camilo Doval. So they separate themselves just a little bit. And obviously the y-axis is going to be a little skewed because Strider still is not quite double the value over Edwin Diaz if he pitches 3 times. So the prices you're seeing are legitimate. When you see a Spencer Strider reliever go for 0.6 Ethereum, his rare, and then you see Edwin Diaz go for 0.2, realistically, Diaz could go for more. Or maybe Strider, if you want to base him on Diaz, should be going a little closer to 0.4. It depends on how you look at it. If you want to look at over the replacements, then obviously that number is going to come down. But I mean, 10 times, I don't know who a replacement player. Let's use Hader. Let's use Hader really quick. Because Strider is essentially double. I'm going to look at my prices really quick and see what Hader is going for in a rare. Last 3 days sale, 0.045. So by that calculation, Spencer Strider should only be going for 0.09. But I mean, that's per game week, man. That's double per game week. So if you think Hader should get 21, which if you get 21 out of a reliever, you had a nice week. Strider should realistically be getting around 42. And then when you calculate that over the course of the season, it's like 0.045 of value per game week. So that's why you see the price too. I'm not saying to use this as like a direct correlation to how much you want to pay, but I mean, you can cap guys. You can, I mean, if you don't want to pay for Edwin Diaz, you can pay for Ryan Helsley. Let's see. Edwin Diaz, last 3 days sale. 0.058. So actually, that's a lot closer. 058 to Helsley. 0539. That is a rational market for those two guys. Now, guys like Berea and Aiken, I believe Berea does start, so that might have something to do with this. Aiken, I believe, is the same. I don't know that he even has a relief pitcher card. Then you kind of see the drop off to guys like these, who are definitely all relievers. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of outline just why Spencer Strider is so valuable. I've kind of talked about it before, and we knew it was already the case. But the point is you want players who separate themselves at the position. You can only have one per position, and then you can add a flex, and then maybe you can add maybe you want another hitter at the end if they have a good matchup. But like if you go through here and you say, all right, I want for next season, I want Garrett Cole, I want Vlad, I want Bo, I want Soto, and then you look at whoever has. At that point, you can probably compare value over replacement player relative to the rest of the hitters and figure it out. But keep in mind, players have multiple positions. Max Muncy is going to be 40% valuable, more valuable than the average or 80th percentile middle infielder. Whereas if you play him at the corner infield, he's only going to give you, half that value. Yordan Alvarez, same thing. You're going to find more value in the outfield. Corner infield is bunched. Shohei Ohtani, again, this is a weird one. Ohtani's still 44% better than the 80th percentile corner infield. Over the course of the season, he's only going to give you 85% of an 80th percentile. So you're looking at like what, 65th percentile starting pitcher? That's just cumulative scoring. Ohtani is obviously a different beast, but if you did like an innings pitch per game or really just by appearance for starting pitchers, he's probably going to go up because he scores more in a game week. If Mookie Betts gets middle infield eligibility from playing second base, which he has done, he's going to be more valuable. Like you can get more for less in an outfield spot and just play him in the middle infield. So here's the amount of players above replacement level at each position. So there are fewer pitchers there. These are all about the same. Here's the standard deviation in points between everybody projected for next season. small difference here. So when you can get that separation like a Strider gives you, that's why he separates himself so much, is because he's going to have so many more standard deviations above. The difference between so many of those guys is going to be so marginal, but a difference between Strider and those guys is going to be, like we said, about 5 times. That's over the course of, I mean, he can score that. He almost scored that in a single game week. So all of a sudden, like, if he were the same as every other relief pitcher, the 80th percentile, of course, as I've said a million times, that one game week makes pretty much the difference between every other relief pitcher in that area. Whereas like a middle infielder would have to score an extra 236 to differentiate himself. Okay, so here are the most valuable projected scores at every position. This is the amount of standard deviations above that replacement level. How much of the difference between the average player does this person separate themselves by? It's Juan Soto by a mile. 4.4 standard deviations above the 80th percentile. Like I said before, he's about 2 times the replacement level. Most of the top scorers are 2 standard deviations above the 80th percentile. Like these are the guys. These are these guys who like really are above that 2 mark. Vladdy at corner infield, that's who you want. I mean, look at almost half a standard deviation. So like that 236 or whatever divided by 2 is the difference in points between Devers and Guerrero. And that's just first and second. Think about like where you start moving down. Bichette and Albies still big difference here. These guys right there in the outfield, like way more valuable than a ton of the outfielders. Kyle Tucker was at a huge bargain earlier on. I wish I would have held on to my rare. Trey Turner, another guy in the middle infield, and then Garrett Cole really separates himself at starting pitcher. Again, like you're looking at 2 standard deviations above for pretty much everyone else. Like I only included these guys if they were a good amount above that 2 mark. This is it. These are your premium players. This is where you're getting a ton of difference at the position. This is where you want to pay up. If you just need a value, that's one thing. If you're playing on a budget like me, sometimes you have to say, all right, how many points can I get for this amount of Ethereum? If you have an endless budget, these are the guys you want. Like you could run out Soto, Vlad, Bichette, and then, like I said before, just kind of figure out these guys. It's probably going to be one of these guys, and then Cole and Strider, and that's the optimal line. Let's just run that in every lineup for the rest of the season. You're going to be all right. That's it. So hopefully that made sense. This is all just a value proposition based on each individual position and what you can get out of that position over the course of a season. Obviously, and if you pay attention to some of the stuff I've said, I just go DFS every week and I use my projections to decide who I'm going to play, but I'm limited in the cards that I hold. Like I have a Vlad common, or limited rather, and I have a Bo rare, but I don't have a Garrett Cole. I can't afford that if I want to really round out my roster. So I have to make those decisions that way. But if you're looking for something to aspire to, you can really separate yourself at that position. If you really have the money to spend, you can go get Vlad. And I mean, Vlad's difference here, I'm going to sort by their VORP divided by the Ethereum that it costs to get them. Nick Solak pops. Actually, let's go back. Okay. So yeah, Matt Olson, who popped, 1.52 value, so like 52% better than the average. He's only going to run you for a rare 0.068, whereas Vlad for 23% more than Olson is going to cost you about 2.5 times what Olson will. So if you have a limited budget, Matt Olson makes a ton of sense. If you have an unlimited budget, you want the guy who really separates himself. But that is why premium players exist. That is where the premium lives. So again, hopefully that makes sense. And it's something I really wanted to look into because I wanted to know just how much these guys are separating themselves. I don't want to go into a situation where I'm like, am I overpaying? Is there hype on this player? Am I paying a ton more Ethereum for 20 extra points over the course of a season? You don't want to do that. That's not valuable. That's not a good way to spend your Ethereum. If you can find ways to accumulate these guys who score well game week to game week, that's going to give you an advantage over the long haul because good matchups exist, but not everybody's going to fulfill their projections. And it's good to have a base of guys who just generally separate themselves at the positions that they play. And it's good to have guys who help take advantage of the limitations at that position. If 90% of the field is running out someone who's slightly above replacement level, and you're running out a guy who is way above replacement level, that difference is going to carry you. It's going to, knock you up a couple of tiers every single time. So it's just something that you want to pay attention to. So that's VORP. And before I go, I said someone help me. Xenophanes reached out to me on Discord and we chatted a couple of times and really worked through this Excel issue I was having. And I owe him immensely. I'm gonna give him a shout out. I plan on compensating him somehow. Maybe, if I finally win something, I can win something really good. I can send him a little bit of a cut just for helping me out. But what that leads me to is our next giveaway. That's going to be a guy with playoff utility, hopefully. Probably. I think it's like 100% that the Rays make the playoffs at this point. G-Man Choi. He's going to be our next giveaway. So, how do you win the G-Man Choi limited giveaway? What I want you to do is I want you to go down into the comments here, and I want you to say, thanks, Xenophanes. I'm not going to tell you how to spell it. I want you to take your best guess. He's posted on other videos before, I believe. I don't know if he's Xenophanes there, but that's how I know him, and that's how you enter the giveaway. Even Xenophanes can enter the giveaway by saying, thanks, Xenophanes. He can thank himself. The giveaway will be based on you saying thanks, Xenophanes. You don't have to get the spelling right. I'll find a way around that. But that is how you get this G-Man Choi limited card. Head down in the comments, say thanks, Xenophanes, and we will draw it next Friday for the G-Man Choi card. If you have any questions, ask them. If you didn't quite understand what I was going over, or there was an issue with the way that I calculated things and you want to call me on it, just drop it in the comments. But make sure to follow, like, subscribe, all that. Follow me on Twitter at LexHooper. And if you drop something in the comments, even if you want to ask a question, something unrelated, say thanks, Xenophanes. And that's how you enter into the giveaway. So until Monday, everybody have a great weekend. If you tuned in this long, I know I didn't go over my projections for next week like I normally do. Giants. Just go for Giants. That's it. Till next time. See ya.